G'day patrons, welcome to Patreon with X-Risart. My name is Chrissy, thank you for joining me today. And today we're going to be painting, well, let's just say the base coat for the water. Now for all of those who are just coming on board with Patreon with X-Risart, this is a 30 by 40 centimeter pan pastel painting. I have been using pan pastels, pastel pencils with brushes, soft tools, all kinds of things. Anything that's going to give me the look that I want. Okay, so last week we were detailing or just bringing out some of the fur in our bear, and we're not quite finished yet. As with all things, when I'm painting, I paint, say, to, for example, 80 to 90%, and then, in a certain area, then I'll go to another area, and then I'll come back. And the reason why I do that is because sometimes it's almost like when you go away and come back with fresh eyes. It's the same kind of principle. So, having said all of that, yes, I'm going, as you can see, this is the pastel matte, the light green, and, and of course, with the lighter pastel matte papers or the colors, it just takes a little bit more pastel, depending on what project you do, of course. Carol, g'day. Kathy, g'day. Hi from, what is it? Tula? And myself, not sure how long I'll be here. I am so glad you're here to say g'day. Thank you so much, Sherry. And of course, thank you, Carol and Kathy, for keeping me company. All right, got my trusty brushes. I've got, now the colors which I'm going to use are the turquoise colors. If you have a look carefully, and there's also a bit of green involved, and the green that I'm using is the permanent green extra dark, making sure, yep. And it'll be just touches of it, truly just touches of it. As we were doing our project, even like yesterday, the deer waterfall and running water, you could see that we were building layers before we started detailing the water. I'll just bring that, hang on. And here we go. And it's the same kind of principle. Okay, so yeah. Oh yes, we're very busy on this channel. We're doing quite a few projects. Well, you've got projects to choose from, haven't you? All right, so let's just get to it. Of course, I've got my my pastel palette. What I'm going to do is put my glassine paper, like I did even yesterday, my paper towel, so you can see what colors I'm using at the time. The turquoise group, well, the turquoise and the permanent green extra dark. Might just put that one to the side for the moment. The brushes that I'm using, so these are what I've got by my side. I really would like to cover this area very quickly, so what I might do is use the large shadow, and of course I've got description. I've got the link of where you can get these brushes. There's a whole family of them that you can get, but anyway, also let me see, what else do I need to talk about? I also need to, and I've just picked up some turquoise extra dark, and also just a bit of a disclaimer again, please note that pan pastels are made for little to no dust when you are using the soft tool sponges. Okay, so I'm being a rebel and very recalcitrant, and I'm doing this type of thing. So, but you know what? I'm getting the effect that I want. Now, what I'm trying to do here is just lay enough pastel so I can build up layers. And there are areas where, in fact, I don't want to use this brush. This is, oh, maybe it's okay. No, I want to use a smaller brush. Okay, here we go. I'm using the Angular Eco Tools one. And the only reason why I'm using that is because I want absolute control as much as I possibly can get. G'day Pam, hello, hello. You know what? This is the Fabulous Four. That's what I'm going to call you girls. The Fabulous Four. Thank you for keeping me company. Now, of course, the reference is but a guide, okay? It is a guide. We don't have to do this verbatim, but a guide. And the reason why I want to, I start off with, you'll say to me, Chrissy, why are you choosing all of these dark colors? Well, in order for me to go light, I have to go dark first. So, and because pastel allows us to be like that, and that's very much as in oils are like that as well. So, when we're talking about, you know, layering and the way it works differently to watercolor, different to colored pencil. Yeah. Now, when we're looking at this painting, you know, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. When I think about a project like this at this stage, definitely I can see the light, and it's teeny weeny, but it's there. Okay, we still have a long way to go, but yeah, hang in there, folks. We're getting there. I see the light now. Now, of course, every artist has got a different technique, and you know, when I say in order for me to go light, I've got to go dark first. This is the way I work. Okay, so what I'm doing with you now is just building your confidence. So, and I'm just sort of giving you a vehicle or a way into that. You don't necessarily have to paint the way I paint, because if that was the case, then, you know, like, you know, the place would be very boring. Of course, all of us artists are all very different, and, you know, and that's the most interesting part for me. The most interesting part for me is to help you build confidence, you know, to build, you know, to paint unusual projects that you're not thinking of doing. But, you know, and what happens is that whilst we're doing these kind of projects where I'm teaching you techniques and little tricks and little tips and things like that. So then you can go off and, you know, do the projects that you like to do. Of course, these are the projects that I enjoy, and of course I always ask, you know, what projects that you would like, or what you would like, what technique you would like to see, or, you know, that's always, and that's a given here. But yes, so you know, like, you know, others may have different techniques, but this is the way I work, and it works for me, but it may not work for you, or it may, you know what I mean? It may be that little push that you need to help you discover and to achieve the outcomes that you're going for. So, yeah. So right now, all I'm doing now is I'm just putting down some pastel so I can build layers. It's pretty much the long and the short of it, really. And the colours that I'll be using are the turquoise colours here, the turquoise group for a base. Okay. No mixing involved at the moment, but there will be. Oh, hang on. Make sure I'm in the shot. That's what we need. As you can see, the pastel's not moving. We know why that is, because we don't have enough pastel down. And of course, I want that swish. By the time it comes for me to be using all of those highlights, I want to be able to just be, you know, lightly touching the surface with all of the highlights. So, yes. And the last thing that we're going to do here is the trout. Well, what I think looks like a trout. So that's what we're going to do here. So And here I just went a little bit overboard. I was a bit zealous here, I think. And what I'd like to do is just to remove some of this here, because really I need water here. So and of course the kneaded eraser. Okay, Kathy says, I took 2 paintings to the framer yesterday and got the same question always get. Did you use fixative? I get the same question, although now my framer knows me and she doesn't ask me that, but isn't that interesting? Okay, had to explain again how pan pastel works and the union with Pastelmat and match made in heaven. Very little residue dust. Yes, and oh my gosh, yes, most definitely you will get the framer who will, like 95% of the time ask you, but it's not until where they get to know you real well. Like, for example, the framer that I use, I have been going to this framer, I don't know, more than 10 years. Truly, I'm just trying to think of how long I've been going to this framer. And of course, she knows me very, very, very well, and she knows my work very well. And yes, but you will get that. I mean, yes. How do you explain? Sometimes, like, the framer doesn't understand what the surface is and what pans do. And yes, a match made in heaven, absolutely. Honestly, I've never had to worry about, and it's really interesting how they tell you. They'll go, oh, look, we're going to put a, like a pastel, like between the artwork and the frame, we're going to put like I knew what the word was. I can't think of it now. Oh my gosh. Anyway, the break between the work, it's almost like a spacer. Let's call it I'm pretty sure it's a spacer. Spacer between the work and the frame, because they're thinking, well, in due course, in due time, the pastel is going to fall down. Well, in this case, Pastelmat, the way we do it, very rarely, very rare. And if it does, it might be because I've used too much pastel. Because that they'll use, oh God, hang on a sec. Hang on. Because they will use the spacer, because they think that the pastel is going to fall from the surface. But little do they know what Pastelmat does, of course. Spacer, yeah, there you go. Yep, spacer. I think it's called a spacer. So my framing person is in the Central Coast, where I have to travel to that area. It's not that far, but I will consider it. I will consider that it's more local. Anything within an hour's drive is considered local here for me, because I live 50 million miles from everyone. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to just touch a little bit of green every now and again, just a little bit, because I want that to be like the undertone or the underlayers in some instances where I feel that it's It'll make it look more realistic too. That's the Permanent Green Extra Dark. Okay. Cherry says, I used to use tiny foam pads as spacers, but not anymore, as haven't needed to. Interesting. And Kathy says, I've seen some artists on YouTube who use only a spacer and no mat board. I think that would work for pan pastels and pastel mat. Not sure for soft pastels. Yes, agree. Okay, and Cherry says, I'm looking online to find a mount they make to size. Well, you know what? I suppose anything is possible, and if you find, I mean, all you have to do is just, do your research, I suppose. Okay, I'm mixing a little bit of the Turquoise Extra Dark and a little bit of the Permanent Green Extra Dark. I do want some of that green coming through. Yes, and in certain areas. Yes, so pretty much I'm just adding a little bit here and there. This is going to be mostly covered, but of course we want, I want to be able to, as I mentioned before, I want, when I start putting in the water or the droplets or all of that stuff, it's only going to become more realistic if I've got a very good foundation in the background. So yes. Yeah, there you go. Kathy mentions, yes, Cherry, you will definitely find online mat board kits. I get mine from eBay by a company here in Australia. Well, there you go. Hang on, I just want to take off my jacket. I've got a jacket on. I just want to take this off. I'm a bit warm. Okay, so this is all I'm thinking here is just adding in my base layers and making sure that I'm covering some of the tooth, more or less preparing it, hey, for the water. But here I'm thinking that I've missed this area here, and it needs a bit of grey and a bit of, I feel that I need to add some of that as well. This is Neutral Grey Extra Dark. Not just yet though, but it's coming. Okay, neutral grey, extra dark. In this area here, it matches that area just there on the other side of the frame, on the inside. Neutral grey, extra dark, just in this area here. Turquoise, extra dark. Permanent green, extra dark. Just about here, and just slide it over very slightly over the frame. Yeah, remember we want to blend it. So between the frame and the water looks sort of a bit on the seamless side. Let me see. I also need to add a little bit more of the burnt sienna extra dark just around here. Sorry, burnt sienna in this situation. I just want to, because I can still see my pastel mat through, and I want to be able to cover it. The surface, that is. Just put that aside. Turquoise shade. Permanent green. Okay, so we're going to start to add some water now. What I want to do though is to make sure that I clean my brush, because I want this, hang on, I'll just get a paper towel. I thought I had more on hand. Just one moment. I want to use this I want to use this side of the my brush. It's from the angular one, like what I've been using here, and I'll be using this one quite a bit, both sides actually. So just let me do that for the time being. Okay. All right. Actually, I'll be using quite a few of my brushes, even my little ones, okay, which is, yep. All right. The color that I would be using is neutral grey tint, and I will build layers up from that, or my highlights, so to speak. Okay, just dabbing at the moment. Now I've got to make sure that I've got a bit of the background that I've just put in. So I have to be very conscious of that. So at the moment, just lightly. And slightly on the bear's fur. Okay. Now what's happened is I've picked up quite a bit of pastel and applied it with the opposite of the angular brush. And I really like what I've done here by just dabbing. So to make sure that that stays there, I'm going to rub that with my glassine paper on top. And make sure that I'm trying to work the pastel into the tooth. Yep. And I will just keep on going in that vein. Okay, so, and maybe even chop and just using my other brush as well. using my angular brush and making some haphazard strokes in the direction that I want the water to flow in. Again, I'm turning, and there are certain areas where I would want more opaque looking strokes, and if you feel that the trick to this is to make sure that you've put enough pastel underlayer to help you make these strokes, if you know what I mean, if you can see what I'm trying to achieve here. In some areas I want more opaque color through, in some I only want just a dusting of this, and of course I haven't used white yet, okay, so I'm going to leave the white to this brush here, so at the end, but yes. In the direction of the water coming out, so then I'm making horizontal strokes. If you feel that you're not confident with the water, grab a spare bit of, say, pastel matte paper and practice on that. I mean, yeah, if you can spare the paper, that is. But whatever you do, you practice on pastel matte, not on anything else, because it's not the same. Okay. I'm going to bring out some of the white now. Sorry, before I do that, I've got a bit of powder on my neutral grey tint, and there is a dusting of, shall we say, splash. And what I want to do is spray some over the bear's bottom and into this water, or sorry, into this frame part here, and then some of it sporadically here. So, but then I'm going to do that with white as well, but I need this extra tone. So I feel I've got enough pastel on here to do that. So it's almost like getting a blade and using, maybe you could do the same thing if you wanted to, by using, say, a pastel pencil, a soft pastel, and just shave it on. But I've got enough here. I've got enough on my pastel where I've done that, and I just want to lightly dab into this area. So let's very carefully oh boy, didn't want that. I don't want that. Oh, well. Okay, so I like that look for the moment. So I'm going to get my glassine paper and I'm going to press that down, because I don't want it to smudge, so to speak. I want it to, yes, to have those haphazard speckles of water, splashes of water. Yes. Okay. For the moment, I'm just going to use my titanium white, and I want to make just some very just some little strokes, but because I want the white to come through, and it will come through when I do that. Yeah. Yes, it's so much more brighter. Hang on, I need more bristle. There we go. Mind you, we haven't used pastel pencil yet, but Okay. This is where I'm going to need much more highlight. Now you can use, like I mentioned before, you could use this is titanium white. You can shave a pastel pencil if you so wish. Same effect. Right, or you could use the Pastelmat and do the same thing. I'm going to use the pans. Okay. Now I want some particles to show as if they were sporadic little flecks, but there are some where I'm actually going to touch up. Both great ideas. Yep, pastel pencil and the pans. Yep. Okay. Well, I'm blowing. I want to see what has stayed and what hasn't. Okay, so I'm going to touch up certain areas, if you will. So I think I need a few more. Hang on, I need to put these aside just for a moment. I need a few more speckles here. Now, not all of these are going to be speckles. I'm going to use my brush to make something look like it's going in a direction of, I don't know, spraying, but not necessarily the speckles. Okay, so okay, so in some instances the speckle, I just want it to, it's almost like touching up. There's a big thing here. I don't want that. There you go. I'm using a blending brush. Okay, this is more softer, it's longer than the other side of, you know, the angular one, so that I don't want that one. This one is a very good blending brush, so I want to blend certain areas. So and it's the lightest, feather lightest touch. It's tickling again. Yes, we are tickling again. I love that word. I love that word. Let me see, I might use my vacuum cleaner now for a moment. Okay, I want to show sort of like a bit of a shoreline, the way the waves, the way sometimes the shore comes in. So I'm going to use my angular brush and I'm going to make sort of like long oval shapes. And what I will be using, I'll probably be using my smaller brush here. I think I'll do that. And it's sort of more or less horizontal strokes. Now I'm using my titanium white. This is a Conti pastel pencil, but you can use any pastel pencil. I just want to make some lines where it's sort of, there are certain lines which I want to capture more than just the droplets as well. And it's just sort of making little lines, loops, and scoops. It's interesting that, I mean, apart from the frame and maybe the fur, okay, but we haven't, I mean, we've used pastel pencils, but not as much as you would think, hey? We want to show that the water's rushing out of the frame. So I'm just haphazardly going in the direction of how the water is flowing, and you know, showing, you know, movement, within the water. I probably needed to do a little bit more up here as far as the water flicking up. It's looking really good. I'll catch up later as missed a bit getting lunch for a little. No problem. No problem. We're nearly there. I'll just finish up just some of the water. You know, it's probably now knowing when to stop, okay? So that's where I'm at this point. And I'm thinking that before I I've just got to be careful right now. Okay. I think this is where I need to take a break and make sure that I haven't done too much. It's better to not have done enough than too much. Okay, so okay. So you can see when I, because I want to create like as if there was, the bear and the waterfall like Carol wanted. You know what I mean? I really want to get that look as if the bear is standing at the edge of the waterfall, when the fish are coming up. So this is what I'm trying to create, and I'm trying to create quite a bit of movement. So I think what I'm going to do is pretty much leave it there. And as you can see, this is what I was trying to tell you before. As you, by putting in darker layers underneath, when it comes to the highlights, that's when things pop, if you know what I mean. So I really am going to, oh my gosh, just... I'm actually going to leave it there because I think, yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Yes, and it's knowing when to stop. It's particularly in something like this. So I'm just sort of wiping my hands from the pastel. Definitely it's something that I need to walk away from and figure out where I need. Look, I can just see already that I need to add things, but I'm just going to let it go. And I need to walk away. And that's something which I strongly recommend for you to do as well, is to, when you think, okay, it's a feeling that you get, isn't it? The water is looking good. Thank you, Pam. It's the bit where you think, oh, okay, I think I'm just about there. And sometimes, like, if you're just going to add something else, you think, oh, I think I've done too much. Do you know what I mean? It's like that. So when you have that feeling inside you, and even if you're second guessing yourself, I think it's good to just put it aside, make a cup of tea, make a cup of coffee, I don't know, have a glass of wine, walk away, whichever beverage you like, and then come back to it with fresh eyes, and you think, okay, this is what I think needs to happen. So there you go. So I'm actually really happy with how it's looking. So next week is going to be the week that we finish this, because I want to do the fish, and I want to then see what else is required around water-wise and rushing water or gushing water. Oh, and I wanted to put some of these birds that are just, if you can see the birds in the reference, there's just a few birds coming out of the frame and into the room, so to speak. But yes, all right, look, thank you all so much for thank you so much for the Fantastic Four that are. That's what I'm going to call you ladies, the Fantastic Four, for keeping me company, and for those who are having a crack at this project. Please let me know how you're going, and if you need any help, any questions. Okay, I'll see you all next week, and have a lovely week, and we'll talk again soon, and hopefully we'll finish this next week. So bye for now.